Assalamu alaikum, hey, and welcome to the Muslim Life Coach Institute podcast. This is Abdul Shahid, master coach, trainer, and therapist, and this is where I help you to coach yourself and your clients on how to overcome anxiety, fear, and all of the emotional baggage that keeps so many of us stuck in our minds, our lives, and our relationships. Welcome to this week's episode of the Muslim Life Coach Institute. This is Abdul Shahid, and we are talking about burnout. We're talking about really requiring external validation, always looking for acceptance and acknowledgement, and achievement is such a big thing. And most of the time, actually, what happens is that we think about doing all these things, and we say that we're actually, we're pretty target driven. Because look, I work with a lot of leaders, coaches, therapists, people who are, consultants in the business field, like people who are impacting lives, and I train coaches and therapists. So obviously, we're talking about creating, exponential lives. So of course, you're going to be goal driven. Of course, you're going to want to go out there and create impact in the world. And then in the type of work that we do is, it's a bit of a crossover between spirituality and psychology and personal and professional development, like in the real world, meaning having success. Now, one of the things that I find over and over again with many of the people that I work with is that you struggle with this need or this desire to be acknowledged. Like a lot of the time, it's about acknowledgement. And we don't see it as being validated, but really what we're always seeking is like this external validation for, how good we are, or, how great we've done. And it actually impacts your own well-being. Like in other words, how you feel is impacted if you don't get the validation or the acceptance or acknowledgement. And when you're not given that acknowledgement, then very often what that leads to is that it leads to us feeling disconnected from the people that we were hoping would give us that validation. And this happens in relationships, whether it's, professional or personal. Because many a times I find with my clients, when we're dealing with like relationship challenges, is that they feel disconnected. They feel disconnected from their spouse. Like they feel disconnected from their spouse, and they feel as though the spouse doesn't appreciate them. And when you're in that state, you feel alone, and you feel like there's something wrong, and you can't seem to put your finger on it. And what that does is that it drives us to do more. And I know personally, from my own experience, like I'm always driving myself to do more, and you think it's a good thing, and it is. When you're creating things in the world, when you're having impact on lives, when you're, working on your projects, your business, your client work, whatever it is that you're doing, it is a really, really good thing. But it's not a good thing when you can't say no. And this is what I find most of the time when we are in need of this external acknowledgement or validation, when we want this praise, when we want to be acknowledged as someone who is successful or someone who is doing well, like just so that we can feel like we're doing okay, because that's what it's really about. What's driving all of that desire to, please other people or to get their attention is that we want to feel like we're doing okay. And so we're always looking for this, external input to make us feel good internally. So here's the thing. If you find it difficult to say no to people, this is one of the prime signs of this, right? One of the things that I find with my high achieving clients is that they are always forever taking on project after project. They're taking on things that they're doing to help other people, like responsibilities. They're always doing stuff. And they're so busy that they exhaust themselves. And most of the time what we end up doing is that we end up saying yes to everything because we find it difficult saying no. And what you've got to ask yourself is, why do you find it difficult to say no? Why do you have to say yes to everything? Because, if you say no, by saying no, if that's a problem, it's because you anticipate that what it will feel like when you do say no, because of that disconnect or because of that lack of acknowledgement, because of that lack of an external input to make you feel good, then it will make you feel bad about yourself. And in your mind, it feels like a rejection. And look, this isn't everyone, but most of the time when we struggle with this, like we feel like we're being rejected. We feel like our ideas are not good enough. And then, we take it to a different level and we think that, people are being mean and, they don't acknowledge us. They don't like our ideas. And there's something about me that they don't like. And maybe there's a problem between us. And then it can just get silly, right? And it turns into relationship challenges, be it professional or personal. And I many a times when I'm dealing with my trainees, we're talking about the same stuff. We're actually going through the process of getting them over this on a permanent level so that they don't have this impacting their lives, because otherwise they constantly feel like they're on a treadmill, constantly on a treadmill, constantly having to do things like it's exhausting. It never stops. And if it's not that, then it's in their relationships. And when you feel a disconnection in your relationship, it really does have an impact on like your, the way you show up in your day. And if you're not showing up in your day the way you want to, then you end up giving yourself a guilt trip and beating yourself up, and it just spirals, right? So if this is happening to you and you're someone that can't say no, then there's got to be a bunch of reasons for why, right? One of them is definitely going to be that you're looking for some external input, like be it acknowledgement, be it praise, be it, someone telling you that it's good enough. It's going to all be something that you are looking for externally. And you don't want to lose that, so you're always saying yes, right? And many times I get told by my students that they feel this way, and it's been going on for a long time. Like many of the people that I work with, they've been going through this for a long time, and usually it's since the loss of a loved one or the loss of something in their life or some sort of trauma that they experienced in the past. And what it did for them and how they describe it is that it's created a void in their life that they're always feeling, searching to fill. And here's the thing, folks, you can't fill the void by saying yes to everything and everyone. Like if you're always trying to fill the void by saying yes to everything and everyone, then essentially you're always looking for the next fix. And the next fix never works, because after that you're looking for the next one. And usually I see this, like I know from experience, personal experience, as well as experience from my clients, that it's the ones that are high performers. It's the ones that are out there achieving like a lot, like doing a lot, have really achieved a lot in different areas of their lives, in their careers, in their businesses, and they're constantly searching for that external input, and they don't even realize it. That's the crazy thing about it, that we do it without realizing. We think that we're working towards our goal, and really what's driving us is either the drive towards a feeling that we want to feel, the feeling that you're going to feel when you have that achievement, or it's trying to get away from the feeling that you're going to experience, that you anticipate experiencing when you fail to achieve that goal, right? And that keeps you in a flux between these two, horrible states. Like one, and I call it a horrible state because the fix that you get from an achievement, if it's keeping you on the treadmill, then it's actually fueling the problem. Now, you want to be out there creating things in the world and creating like an amazing experience for yourself. But you want to do that and have all the achievements, but not need the achievement to make you feel good about yourself, right? And this is the disconnect. Like most of us, we feel like we need to achieve more, do more, so that we can feel good about ourselves. And the reality is that no matter how much you do, it's never going to be enough. And you know that. You have those thoughts going through your mind. So you're always looking for the next project or the next goal and whatever it is that you want to do. So that's like, whether you're saying yes to people or you're saying yes to projects and ideas that come up in your own mind, you're doing the same thing. You're chasing that. You're either chasing that feeling that you're going to get from the achievement, or you're trying to get away from experiencing a disconnect and those low feelings and whatever it is. But ultimately, what this is going to do for you is that it's going to move you straight to the path of exhaustion and lead you to burnout. Like this behavior, this, the way the mind works, and as we're doing this, what it does, it leads us to burnout. It leads us to actually feeling exhausted. And when you get into a state of exhaustion, like, you're not going to be able to continue like that forever. And most people, they work themselves into the ground. And they become their own biggest critics, and they knock their own confidence, and they don't even realize they're doing it. And this is a problem that I see with so many people who have been successful in so many areas of their lives, their business, their careers, their finances, their relationships. They've been successful in all these areas, but they're on this constant treadmill. And it's like, or another way to look at this is like you're constantly juggling, right? You're constantly juggling, and you're constantly on edge out of the fear that you're going to drop one of the balls. You're going to drop one of the areas of your life. You're going to mess something up. And when you're in that state, you're never going to stop. You're not going to allow yourself to rest. And you're going to experience problems sleeping. You're going to experience a lack of energy, like fatigue. You're going to experience a whole bunch of things. And here's the thing. Like, if you are already experiencing that, then you know what I'm talking about. And saying yes to everything or saying yes to everyone is not going to help you, right? It's not going to fill that void. And most of the time, what I find is that, my students and my clients, my trainees, like what they're doing is that they're constantly trying to fill that void. And by constantly trying to fill the void, what they're doing is actually fueling the problem itself. And they're leading themselves to burnout. They're leading themselves to exhaustion. They're leading themselves to a state of constant fatigue. And if they're not feeling fatigued, it's because they're managing it with doing, with the exercises and, going to the gym and eating right. They're managing it with that. But mentally, they still get to that place of burnout. And you see, if you're mentally burnt out, it doesn't matter what you eat and how much exercise you do, you're still going to have that problem, right? And if this makes sense to you, it's because you know through your own experience. And no amount of success is ever gonna solve this problem. No amount of achievement or acknowledgement is ever going to achieve it. No amount of people pleasing is ever going to solve this problem. And really, what you have to do is you have to take a step back. You really have to take a step back. So look, I want to talk to you about 3 steps that you can take to actually help yourself. And it really is like I deal with this all the time, because the coaches that I train, like we do like a double job. It's not traditional coaching. So we do the work of personal development, success, and creating in the world. That's on the one hand, and on the other hand, like we do a lot of the unblocking, a lot of the dealing with the the past and the traumas and the things that hold us back. Right? And that is therapeutic work that we do. So everyone is in need of both. Like, we want to grow and we want to develop as human beings. We want to actualize the very potential that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, right? But at the same time, we have things that we've been carrying for a lifetime. And one of those things is what I'm talking about today, like, trying to fill that void, a void that's been created. And it was created maybe a long time ago. But the thing is, you've actually fueled the fire and you've carried it with you for a long, long time as well. And no matter what you do, you can't fill that void unless you deal with the causal factors, right? The things that actually ignite it and bring it alive in your life every single day. So you got to take a step back, and you got to actually look at your life, and you got to be willing to help yourself. Because look, folk, one of the challenges that most of us have, especially, like, I know, I speak from experience, like we are afraid to go out and actually get the help to fast track the results, to get over the problem. And I'm not talking about we're afraid to go out and do stuff. Like, we're doing stuff all the time, but what we're always doing is we're always looking, and we're always going for self-development, hoping that, self-help and self-development is going to be a fix. And it kind of makes sense when you're listening to it and you're thinking, yeah, it's going to work. But when you try it, it works temporarily at best. And a lot of the times you just waste a lot of time in learning a lot of different stuff and different concepts that don't actually help and don't actually resolve the problem. You're always like working on the symptoms and not the cause itself, right? So all of that stuff, like, you could waste years and years and years listening to people and doing stuff, hoping for a fix. But because you never take the steps, the action to create those changes, it never actually happens. And here's the thing, most of the time, like, I know that I share a lot of these nuggets in this podcast because I know I know my audience, I know who I'm working with, and I want you to understand that you can take this stuff and use it, apply it. But if you don't take it and use it and apply it, you're not going to get the results. And if you need more than what I'm sharing here, then you need to actually come in and join the journey and fast track your results, right? So here's how it works. 3 things that you need to do, like, to get over this. And the number one thing, and it's always the number one thing, is that you need to become aware of the true cause of your void. And that's a very difficult thing for most of us to do, especially when we associate it with things from the past. When we associate it with, a loss that we've had, or an experience, a trauma, or anything that we've experienced in the past. Like, when we associate it with that, we almost get caught. We almost get caught in trying to overcome that. And we're thinking, do some mindset work, some positive thinking, and, try and understand it better. But the reality is that, a lot of the times the void that is created, we experience it in the now. You're experiencing it right now. You're not experiencing it like in the past. The past has passed you, and you, even though you carry it with you on a regular basis, you're experiencing it in the now. So that means that you need to go to the causal factors that are creating your experience right now. And from the core of that is the way that you are perceiving and experiencing your life. Now, as we go through the Nafs Transformation Program, this is the first thing that I teach everyone, because it is the root. It is the root. And we focus on the science of the nafs. This is what you're learning, right? As I'm talking to you, I'm always talking to you about this science, right? The science of the nafs, because the nafs is you, it's the person, it's you on a spiritual level, on a psychological level, and a physical level. And you know that whatever's going on in your mind is always impacting you, even physically. The burnout that we experience, it starts off in the mind, it ends up on the body, right? So to overcome that, you got to go back to the root, right? So that's the number one thing that we focus on. Become aware of the actual cause that is creating the void on a daily basis. Number 2, change the emotions that you're feeling, right? Now, this is, most people think this is really difficult, but actually it's pretty easy, but you got to learn how to do it. And obviously, if you've been following this podcast, I've talked you through this many a times, and you got to be doing that. But, like, essentially, like, how we perceive our lives, what's going on in your heart, what you're believing in this moment, what you're believing about your life is creating your experience, right? Now, changing this is imperative, because it's the feelings that, when you're looking for acknowledgement, you're looking for feelings, right? You want to feel like you've acknowledged something. You want to feel good about yourself. You want to feel like you're successful. You want to feel like your life is worth living, that you've actually done something worthwhile. You want to feel like you will succeed in the dunya and the akhirah, right? You want to feel like you're going to have a win-win, right? And if you got all these horrible feelings, You want to actually escape those feelings. So you need to know and you need to understand where it's coming from. The feeling of void, the feeling of, I've got something missing in my life, something that I need that can't be replaced. You need to understand how to replace it, because it certainly can be. And I'm not saying that you can replace the past or the future. The past or the future right now, look, ask yourself, like, are you able to go back to the past at all? In any way at all, apart from in your memory? Are you able? Like, I know certainly I can't, right? In my memory, sure, but in reality, I can't do it, right? Now, the future is the same. Like, you can't jump forward. So what you have to learn to do is fill that void right now in the present, right? So that's number 2. You got to do that by changing the emotions that you're experiencing, right? Talking about real deal experience. So changing your experience will change your life. Number 3, you've got to create a level of confidence that is not connected to achievements, acknowledgement, nor pleasing people, right? Let me repeat that. You've got to create a level of confidence that is not connected to achievements, acknowledgement, goals, or pleasing people. Confidence, the type of confidence that I'm talking about, is the kind of confidence that is internally robust. It gives you a level of resilience and strength and power that will fuel your life and fuel everything that you could possibly want to do in this life. And it will serve you in the deen, in the dunya. It will serve you in every possible way. But what we often turn to and we go to is that we go for this confidence that is externally stimulated, and this is why we're constantly looking for acknowledgement, and we need people to accept us, and we need people to tell us how great we are, and we're looking for external, and that external acknowledgement, it's always going to be up and down. And if you rely on that, you're going to be stuck. You're going to be stuck in this loop that creates havoc, that creates exhaustion, that creates burnout, that has you in a state of constantly being busy and not able to actually enjoy your life. Like, that level of confidence, it comes from something that you have to create. You have to detach that confidence and create it within, and it has to be detached from your acknowledgements, your goals, your all of the things that your achievements, all of those things. It's got to be detached from how much money you have, or how much wealth you have, or how much success you have. It has to be detached from that. And when you can do that, then what's going to happen is that you're actually going to have the basis and the foundation for changing all of that, and actually getting away from that need to fill a void. Like, it will totally change all of that. And at the core and the root of all of that, and this is what the science of the nafs is all about. It always goes back to 3 things that I always teach in everything I teach, right? Which is your spiritual connection, your connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your connection to your psychology, your state of mind, the way you're experiencing your life, and the physical connection, how you're showing up in the world, how you're impacted physically, how you are connecting to other people. It will have an impact on your whole life. And the best thing about it is that you achieve a level of tama'nina, a level of peace, sakina, like, a level of ease, just being okay. And that, in and of itself, is the most powerful thing in the world. It's the most powerful thing in the world, because it gives you the foundation and the basis to go out and create an amazing life. And this is what I train all of my coaches on. They learn the methodology, they learn the coaching tools, they learn the tools that will set them up for life. They will learn the tools that they can take out and impact other people's lives with. This is the science of the nafs, right? And within that, we have, the nafs therapy, which is helping you to unblock and deal with all of the stuff that keeps you stuck. The stuff of the past, the stuff of the future, the doubt, and the destructive stuff that has us in procrastination and constantly, or either in procrastination or overdoing it, the complete opposite, right? And so if you want to know more about that, go to the website and check it out. But for now, like these 3 steps, like become aware of it, change how you're feeling, what you're experiencing, And number 3, like, create a level of confidence that is not connected to people, achievements, acknowledgement, or anything external to you. And if you can do that, then you're going to be in a really, really good place to do whatever you want to do. So anyway, folk, I'm going to leave you on that. Hey, if you're ready to actually take the steps to transform your life, I want to invite you to join me on the Nafs Life Transformation Coaching Program, where I help you to take the steps to making the transformation of your mind, your relationships, and your life. Just go over to themuslimlifecoach.org/live. That's the THE muslimlifecoach.org/live.